Speech off.
Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another informal discussion of Inclusive Horizons. Today, I'm gonna be talking about all things to do with stereotyping. What is it? How can we utilize it? Etc. Now, if we need to understand what stereotyping is, to me, what comes to mind, three things. You have information, which is something that you have read from somewhere, something that is probably verified up to a certain extent. Then you have a stereotype. It's kind of a flying information that has no strong basis or is set of association, right? Then if that's not there, then you have assumption. So if I want to know something, I can go and read about it or verify it myself. That will be information. If I don't have that information, then I will have probably kind of a stereotype or associate something with something. And if not, then my mind will fill that gap with assumption. And that's how our brain operates. That's natural, right? Now, what happens is with stereotyping, we all get upset about it and we all get angry with it, sometimes rightly so as well. But if we understand it through that lens, then we can take a bit of an ownership of how to correct it or do something with it. So I'll tell you a quick story with my 3 years old daughter. Um, when we go to bed, I tell her stories. So one of the stories I tell her is the story of Prophet Sulaiman, that we have as Muslims, and I'm sure on all other major religion as well. So she likes it so much, and every night she asks for it. So the other day, the grocery delivery guy came and he knocked at the door. He's like, "Hi, Yahya, this is Suleiman." And straight away, my daughter ran, "Papa, Papa, this is Prophet Suleiman is here." Right? And and that's because in her mind she's trying to fill the gap of who's Prophet Suleiman that she hasn't seen, right? So she's the first person she saw, and she thought this is Prophet Suleiman. Of course, I have to explain to her that this guy is called Suleiman. Da, 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 no, the rest of the story goes on as you could imagine. Now, another story that shows the same thing happens with adult, right? In the absence of information, that assumption comes in, and that assumption sometimes it's based on a stereotype or sometimes comes directly. I went to Hong Kong back in 2011 for a conference with a social enterprise to present my thesis finding of, funny enough, was about diversity and inclusion, as I mentioned previously. And I met this lady. I'm not going to mention her nationality so then I don't get accused of stereotyping myself. And she's like, "Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you." Da, da, da. So I met her because she also went to do research on the same company or social enterprises, but from a different angle. So she's like, "Hi, how are you? My name is da da da." And where are you from? I was like, "I'm from Somalia." "Oh, Somalia. Pirates, right? There's a lot of pirates there." And here I was like, there we go, another stereotyping. So I was initially gonna react from my system one. I was like, "Oh, da, 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 this is wrong, this is ridiculous." Da, da. And I said, "No. What's the point of that?" She probably doesn't know. She probably heard this from media. Well, it's 100%, and she's going through the stereotyping notion, which is natural. She's going through the assumptions, which is normal. And I took advantage of that situation, whereby we're having a dinner. So I said to her, "No, there is a recent trend of piracy going on," and I explained all the historic reasons and political reasons that comes with it. And she was pleasantly surprised. She was like, "Wow, nobody explained this to me before. Now I really understand what it is and how that come from, and obviously now she's relieved. I'm not a pirate myself, so she doesn't have to worry that I'm gonna hijack her. But joke aside, here this experience showed me how can we take ownership of stereotyping. Of course, our relationship had developed, and she's a very dear friend of mine. And guess what? That conversation had sparked our friendship together. It developed, and when I moved to the UAE, she was the person who actually helped me to land my first job. So it was a moment of stereotyping that eventually led to the start of my career in the UAE. Now, I'm not saying to you open up because you want to get a job, but I'm saying that take an ownership of any stereotyping you have. Use it to your advantage for you to create a fun conversation about it, for you to correct assumptions, for you to educate people. Because guess what? If you don't and you go to the opposite, and you get upset about it, it's only going to perpetuate the stereotyping. Again, I go back to what I said initially. If I don't know, I'll make assumption. If I cannot make enough assumption, I will find stereotyping. And I think we have responsibilities to each other for the purpose of inclusion, because here where the role of individuals comes in. We always speak about the role of organizations, government, society, etc. But individuals is the focal point of any inclusion. Take ownership of any assumptions that comes around you. Take ownership of any stereotyping and use it to your advantage. Create stories around it. Create narratives around it. Right? Until you own it, somebody else is gonna. Unless if you own it, someone else was gonna own it. I hope that makes sense. If you like what you heard, please share, subscribe, and I really would appreciate if people can share these messages wide across, so people might find it beneficial and also contribute to this discussion. Take care. Peace out.
Speech on. Stop recording video. Button.